Yeah. Fly Eagles flying, you on the team. Touchdown, touchdown. Time to get Jalen this ring. You don't really want to start a thing. This a bird gang nation, baby. It's a Philly thing. Hater, and you looking like you type trash. I'm just here calling on Philly the podcast. And we can call a man dog or watch Miles score off the handoff. Rest of the division, your man saw Jackson like Sean, hunting like Randolph. Season here, early time to do them in. Your boy Philly Fresco. Thanks for tuning in. What is going on, you guys? It's your boy Joe Castro, aka Philly Fresco, and it is Philly the podcast. So look, we have talked extensively about the Philadelphia Eagles draft. I know you're probably getting tired of it. I know I am, but I wanted to get some opinions about the rest of the NFC East. So we want to figure out who won this draft, you know, who got the best of this draft. So I went out and got some heavy hitters. I'll let them introduce themselves, but we'll start with you, Jay Tuck, and then we'll work our way around. Just let them know who you are.
Yeah, first and foremost, man, as many times as I watched this show, I just now realized that was you rapping on that intro, right?
That's dope, man. Nice. Good intro. I like that.
Hold on. All right, you slapping Cowboys and stuff. Like, I see. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Jay Tuck, man. I appreciate you having me on. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter at JTuck151 and also on my YouTube channel, even though it's kind of a divisional show. Cowboys fans only, man. I appreciate all support. What's going on, my guys?
I'm up. Yeah, right. What's going on, man? Appreciate you having me back on. Did the mock draft with you guys last time. Entertaining talk at sports. Giants fan. Obviously talk some Knicks as well. And yeah, I'm excited to chop it up with you guys. You know, talk some draft and talk about how the Giants kick some ass.
What's up, y'all? It's George Carmi. I'm an editor for Full Press Coverage Washington at fullpresscoverage.com. Thanks for having me here. Just kind of rapping about the Washington football team. Happy to be here, guys.
Yeah, this is gonna be fun. So first of all, look, the Eagles, we all, had our draft coverage. The Eagles had me pretty upset for a little while. It took me like a good day to digest what they were doing, basically after the day two and beyond. But I know we all probably had mixed feelings about picks and, some trades that happened. But again, we'll start with Jay Tuck and work our way down. What were your guys' kind of first reactions to your respective drafts? Oh, did he freeze?
He might have froze. If you want me to start, maybe he'll come back.
You can start.
All right. New York Giants. I'm gonna tell you the truth, man. Exactly what I thought was gonna happen. Devontae Smith was gonna fall to 11. That's what I thought would have happened going all the way back to February. I thought Waddle would be the higher ranked receiver. I always thought he was the better prospect. And then you guys, of course, jumped us. And in the end, obviously a lot of Giants fans freaked out about it because Devontae Smith, Heisman Trophy winner. But obviously for this next year, yeah, we would have been better more than likely with Devontae Smith than Kadarius Toney. But for how it worked out with the draft capital that we got from the trade down, I absolutely love how it all turned out. I thought the Giants got a ton of value there, dropping down from 11 to 20. We got a future first-round pick. We got a future fourth-round pick. And then in the second round, we trade down and we get the same player at 50 that we would have taken at 42. And we get a future third-round pick. So now the Giants got 2 firsts, 2 thirds, 2 fourths, and we filled 2 immediate needs. And I think a lot of Giants fans at 20 that didn't like the Kadarius Toney pick would have been fine with the Azeez Ojulari pick. So if that kind of bothered you, just switch it. Say we took Ojulari first, took Toney second. But I really like Toney. I think Toney's the type of receiver that we need. It's kind of why I preferred Waddle to Smith for the Giants. I feel like, not that I'm comparing Toney, Waddle to me is otherworldly, but Toney's that type of receiver. He's got like that shiftiness. He's really creative. You got to use him in a lot of different ways, though. So a lot of Giants fans are worrying about the bland nature of Jason Garrett, how he's going to implement him into the offense. But I like Kadarius Toney. I think he complements Kenny Golladay very well, and I think it's going to spice up this offense. Of course, the one thing that I didn't love from this draft was, and overall I give it like an A because I love all the value that we got. But the thing that I did not love is we did not address the offensive line. And that was something I was worrying about going into the draft. And I think Gettleman and Joe Judge are clearly telling you we trust the 3 offensive linemen we drafted last year. We think they're going to progress. We think they're going to get better. But overall, listen, we got Kadarius Toney. I had him as my wide receiver 5. He was the 4th wide receiver off the board. We took Azeez Ojulari, who I think fits the scheme perfectly. I don't think there was a better edge rusher for this scheme in this draft class out of Georgia, so I was happy with that pick. Aaron Robinson, I thought we got really good value. It's why we traded up. He was a back end of the second round type guy. We got a mid-third Even though that may not have been a need, he's a really good slot corner. He's physical out of UCF. Really happy with that pick. Ellerson Smith, again, BPA. Most people had him going in the 3rd round. He's a guy that I think could step in and be a good situational edge rusher, 6'6", 252. And then we got our 3rd running back, Gary Brightwell, in the 6th. Supposed to be really good in special teams, something that Joe Judge values. And Rodarius Williams, 25 years old, Gritty Williams' brother. But, again, pretty good value there at the cornerback spot. So, I mean, again, to me, what the Giants did was they went out there much like last year and they went BPA. They didn't so much draft for need. And I thought that overall they took a really good approach.
We'll go to you, George. We'll have you do this the next.
Who, me right here? Yeah, so I'm really happy with it, man. So I'm a tough grader. Philly knows me. I keep it real, man. I don't hype it up too much. I freaking just keep the level. I'm being a realist. So walking away, so I actually went to FedEx Field, where Washington plays, and I basically watched the draft live there. We were expecting Jeremiah Owusu-Karamoah. We thought he was going to fall to us, and he did. He was sitting there right there in front of us. And going into the draft, basically the needs Washington needed to address was left tackle and linebacker. Everyone said, Joke was basically one of the most flexible, versatile players in the draft. We kind of thought that Rivera would kind of, pursue him, thought he could be flexible in scheme versatility, and we selected Jamin Davis. Jamin Davis, I'll be honest with you, the entire stand was like, whoa, we picked Davis. It's kind of shocking, kind of took a step back. But I think it was the right call when it's all said and done. After you heard the rationale and, we all dived into draft research and kind of did our due diligence. He's a more pure middle linebacker, strong side linebacker. He's one of the more pure, big three, second level linebackers there. Joke was more like a safety slot corner, which is not what we need. We need somebody that could play and kind of man the second half. He's 6'3", he's 240, he runs a 4.4. His RAS score, and if you guys, listeners, don't talk about it, relative athletic score, was a 9.94. So if you guys don't know what a RAS score is, they basically, from 1987 to 2021, they actually compare athletic scores with height, weight, speed, cone speed, and so on and so forth. And he is in the 99th percentile in regard to athleticism. So he's definitely up there. And the rationale in Washington is basically that, who better to basically kind of foster this guy's growth? Jack Del Rio played linebacker in the Pro Bowl, in the NFL. So did Ron Rivera. Jack Del Rio took our defense from bottom third of the league to top 5. So, our defensive line is stacked too. We have Payne, Chase Young, Montez Sweat. With that, with a 4-3 linebacker, you can kind of see the image that we're projecting. You can just kind of see where we're going there. So if he hits, that'd be fantastic. So, there's already talk. It's all talk. And for me, it's show me, don't tell me. But Matt Miller's defensive player of the year. They're kind of projecting Jamin Davis. He's a great line in front of him. Why not? He can just basically, he's a run and chase linebacker. And, with the holes open up, with the run fits, he can take care of that. So I don't know if I'm going to go into more draft picks, just the first one, but that's Jamin Davis right there.
Okay. How are you feeling, J-Tuck?
Yeah, as you see, when you asked me, my camera kind of froze, and that's pretty much what happened on draft day, man. So I think for the most part, a lot of Cowboys fans, we kind of had it pinned that, we were going to get either of the corners, whether it was J.C. Horn or Patrick Surtain out of Alabama. And then once Denver sniped us, it kind of sent everything into the frenzy, which we've been kind of discussing on my channel and other channels as the doomsday situation. So what I really believe that happened is that the Cowboys were already on the clock, right? So we didn't have time or the benefit that the Giants did to really negotiate a deal with the Bears and maybe have gotten a first-round pick to possibly trade back. I think what happens, the clock started ticking. Philly called, and according to Steven and Jerry Jones, you guys promised that you guys were going wide receiver, and the Giants were going to consider the same wide receiver as well. So the Cowboys' mindset was that Devontae Smith was coming to the division anyway, so you might as well get an extra pick out of it. So we jumped back, traded back to 12, and then took Micah Parsons. Now, for me personally, it came between Rashawn Slater or Micah Parsons, but I've been heavily, Joe, I kind of trolled you a few times about Parsons, but if there's going to be anyone that's going to fix our defense, I feel like Micah Parsons fills that void more than the two corners would, because our run game is horrendous. You all three guys got easy money against us last year. And so that's what we really need to solidify, is that linebacker position. So we went with Micah Parsons over Rashawn Slater. Now the question was, how do we make it work with whether it's Jalen Smith, Leighton Vander Esch, we just brought in Keanu O'Neal. It sounds like from Dan Quinn's conference that we might be shifting to more of a 3-4 base front versus the 4-3.
He was killing it too.
He was killing it too.
That's that Cowboys internet for you.
I'll tell him what. I'll fill in the air for him while we're basically if he comes back. We were actually eyeing Parsons too. We were hoping they'd fall down to us. Like I don't know if he's gonna have that kind of that silver and blue vision of it. He has character concerns. Like Parsons was like he was vivid bad character concerns. And if you guys read that SI article, he was a bad teammate. He basically punched his teammate in the locker room. He was hazing. Kind of a sexual harassment scandal as well. We thought he would basically kind of tumble towards our coming to 19. Ron Rivera's been preaching culture and character in our locker room. So maybe I don't think we would have selected him if he came our way. But, coming from NFC East, I'm sure you guys feel the same way. I'm not happy Parsons is in the division. He's a great linebacker, but he's limited. He's a good run stopper, but I don't know about his pass coverage. We'll see.
I definitely wanted Micah Parsons. I'm not going to lie. I mean, as far as the Eagles, but I feel like the Eagles, we stuck to our board for once. I will say that, like, you could tell that we definitely took who we thought is the best because just going off the history of how we select, I feel like we did for once, stick to our board. The only pick that I'm really like sitting here questioning is honestly that third round pick. That's really the only one I'm still, kind of questioning. But that's what I wanted to ask you guys is because I know you guys were kind of more into defensive linemen, more into, I know Washington was more into like the linebackers position, but you guys are very good scouts of defensive line. I think it speaks for itself. So I want to kind of ask you guys, was Milton Williams somebody that you guys had on your boards? Where did you have him? What do you think about him now entering the division?
Yeah, it's funny. Before we started the live, I just brought him up, and I didn't even know we were going to talk about him in the live. He was one of my guys that I really had circled in the third round that I was hoping the New York Giants could get. A super athlete. He had better pro day numbers than Aaron Donald in every category. A super athlete, a guy that you can kind of move around. He's 284 pounds. I think he had 4.5 or 5.5 sacks, but I like him. And I didn't think you guys would take him. I thought Dallas was going to take him because Dallas needs help in the interior defensive line. That was their biggest weakness on defense last year. And you guys are kind of pretty strong there to begin with, but he's a young player that you probably feel could be a part of the future of that team. But yeah, I think he was definitely worthy of that selection where you guys took him. You guys definitely were going to take the guy we took. That's why we saw the video come out where you guys were pissed off, and I guess you needed a corner more. But I think Milton Williams is a good pick for you guys.
And then, coming from me, I'll be honest with you, I didn't really dive too deep into defensive line because we're so deep we're 6 deep in regard to defensive line. But I'll tell you what, if you can get a disruptor from the interior, it kind of blows everything up. So good luck with that. You guys have a history of that too with Fletcher Cox, and it's kind of coming down the pike. So it changes the game. We have 2. We have Deron Payne. We have John Allen. They're awesome. They both specialize in different things. Payne is a run stopper. Allen's a disruptor, and it changes everything. So good luck to Milton Williams.
Yeah. How did you feel about Milton Williams on J-Talk? Because I know you went deep with your draft board, so I need to know where he was on your draft board.
Yeah, I had Milton Williams high on my board, man, because as mentioned, that was the area that I wanted the Dallas Cowboys to focus on was the interior defensive line. So, we kind of started laying goose eggs and reaching on day 2 day 2 in the third round when we took Osa Adi, how do you say his name? Adiguza, something like Adagua. I don't know how to say his name. Out of UCLA, man. Yeah, it's rough, man. But yeah, I feel like Milton Williams is one of those guys that I had pinpoint that can definitely come in and fill a void in Dallas in that interior, especially that nose tackle position. And the Cowboys passed on him, man. And it was kind of, heartbreaking. So I saw it mentioned in the chat earlier. Day 2 was rough for a lot of Dallas Cowboys fans. Me personally at the 44 spot, I know a lot of people are high on Kelvin Joseph, aka Boss Man Fat out of Kentucky. Me, not so much. Yeah. Me, not so much, man. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of upside, but for what we need in Dallas to be able to solidify our outside corner position, I feel like he's going to be a project, kind of a work, later and down the season, he might start to evolve, but we need someone that can come and have instant impact. So me personally, when I saw JOK actually start to slide a little bit, it's like, okay, well, if you add Parsons and JOK, now this draft is getting a little bit more sexier, but they passed on that, and they also passed on the guy who I was high on, which is Sante Samuel Jr. I got some kind of insider rumors that, the Cowboys were very high on Tyson Campbell and also Eric Stokes. So they got sniped. We let the Raiders jump in front of us and take Trayvon Moore. So here we are again without a safety. And so day 2 kind of started to unravel a little bit from the Cowboys perspective. And that's kind of been the debate amongst Cowboys Nation is like, what really happened? But like I was saying before, I cut out, it sounds like Dan Quinn is wanting to shift to maybe a 3-4 base. And so that can kind of be the reason why he went with, I'm going to call him 00, and also Chauncey Golston out of Iowa. But of course, the reach at 99, which everyone was just like, what the hell, was Nashawn Wright out of Oregon State at the 99 spot. We're just sitting there like, all right. But the Cowboys' mantra for some reason was size, length, and speed. So we want these big, tall basketball playing corners like we're the Mavericks. And for some reason, they think that that's actually going to work out when the league is actually getting smaller, shiftier receivers, such as Devontae Smith. I mean, Cowboys, they should probably kill me for this because, Kelvin Joseph's supposed to be like the Devontae Smith eraser when he played against Alabama. That's not true. It was 3 damn targets. He had 1 interception. Mac Jones overthrew it. The Cowboys Nation's going to run with that. They're probably going to kill me for saying that. So, because Devontae Smith had 144 yards and 2 touchdowns that game. But we'll see, man. I think there's a lot of unproven guys, some guys with some character issues, which are red flags for me that we take in. So we'll have to see how this all sorts out in Dallas. And so me personally, I'm feeling very meh when it comes to this draft, but we got to trust Dan Quinn, and we really can't get no worse than what we were last year. So I guess that's the one reason for optimism from a lot of fans' standpoint.
Yeah, another thing I kind of saw throughout the division, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like all of our teams kind of look towards the future. Like, I think that when we were kind of looking at our draft, at our mock drafts or whatever you want to call it, it was kind of more so looking at what can help us right now, especially in the earlier rounds. And I feel like we all kind of took guys that might be projects, might be somebody that would take, a year or two. So I want to kind of ask you this question. Who do you think is like the biggest reach that your team made? Is there a reach that your team made? How do you feel about it there? Start with J-Tuck.
Yeah, I'll go. Like I said, Nashawn Wright, like I said, out of Oregon State, that was the biggest head scratcher. I think, he wasn't even ranked in the top 300 along a lot of boards. Like, that's when everyone started grabbing their notes like, okay. And I personally only knew him because I'm a huge Last Chance U fan, and I watched his brother at Laney and Rajon. He was kind of in that episode. So that's kind of how I knew of him. But of course, I wasn't breaking down film on Nashawn Wright. So, that was the hugest reach at 99 because from the Cowboys standpoint, that was a comp pick. And that was our comp pick from losing Byron Jones. So we lost Byron Jones, and we get Nashawn Wright, who's an unproven guy. Where he's going to play, we have no idea. And so, yeah, I think, that was by far the hugest reach the Cowboys took. And I mean, we'll have to see it all play out. Like I said on Twitter today, if Nashawn Wright turns out to be a Pro Bowl in the next 3 years, I will eat my draft board live on the air. As long as they give me some hot sauce, I'll ball it up and just eat the whole thing. So
I might be rooting for my first. Whoever wants to take it next.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, the one questionable pick that a lot of fans had might have been Aaron Robinson in the 3rd round, because a lot of Giants fans thought that we should go offensive line, but it certainly wasn't a reach. Aaron Robinson was like top 50 on most draft boards. We got him at 71. Azeez Ojulari wasn't a reach. I'm not trying to sound biased, but just in terms of value, where these guys should have went, the only guy that the Giants may have taken that people could argue is a slight reach is Kadarius Toney, our first pick. And I don't even think that's so much of a reach. Like, I thought Toney was going to go between like 26 and maybe 33, 34. But at that point, is that much of a reach? If you're reaching 6 to 10 spots, you're taking the guy that you like. And it came out after the fact that the Jaguars wanted to take him at 25. So I'm going to be honest. I mean, I'm a little disappointed we didn't go offensive line, but I don't really think we had a reach. I think we went for value, and I think we got pretty good value with every pick.
All right, and circling around to me, I kind of liked our draft, honestly. Like, it's kind of going back and forth on Twitter and Washington football Twitter, going around basically talking about A's and B's and what do they actually deserve. I gave him a solid B because I'm kind of a more calm, kind of relative grader. I think Ron Rivera's vision is we're going to build up our team and then drop in the quarterback later on. That's kind of our goal, right? So basically, they're going to put a linebacker in, they're going to get a left tackle. I think John Davis is great. I think he could have been slight reach. Could have been in the 20s. We got him at 19, so it's at the end of the world. Sam Cosmi is going to be our left tackle on the left-hand side. I think he's going to start actually left tackle, which would be great for us. So walking away with a left tackle and a linebacker in the first 2 picks aren't bad. I guess our one reach that I kind of am low on, but people like in our community is Benjamin St-Juste, or St-Juste. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. He's a cornerback. I think we got him at 71. So he was the number 1 internationally rated player coming from Canada. He's from Quebec. He came down into the U.S. He started at Michigan for a couple of years. He was injured, and John Harbaugh kind of encouraged him to retire. Like, hey, you should retire. Like, I think your injuries are too much. But he basically persisted and transferred to Minnesota and actually made a career out of himself over there. our big theme, I think Tuck was talking about his theme was like height and length. Ours is all about speed for Washington. Like we were all like all of our guys like 4'3", 4'4s. This guy was big though. He's 6'3", he's 78.5-inch wingspan. I think they project him as more of like a boundary corner or a free safety, which would be kind of nice. I think they're drafting on traits there, so they kind of wanted him to do well. But I was reading on my reports on I don't know if you guys have read Dane Brugger's Beast 2121. It's a great write up on the scouting reports. It's awesome. And like I was reading that, it was like they were just saying that BSJ was like a handsy kind of like, press man corner. He's handsy, could get some penalties here or there. He gets lost in the zone. So kind of I was concerned about that. And I know Washington was looking at a tight end. Like we were hoping, in the community, Brevin Jordan, Tommy Tremble, maybe even like a Trey Sermon, even if they're around to kind of back up Antonio Gibson, kind of have some depth there. And we got BSJ. And I'm like, you know what, like that's cool and all, like, but I wish we had kind of like shot higher. Luckily, later in the third round, we got Diamond Brown, which I'm really happy with. So I'm pumped about that pick.
That was a great pick.
Really happy with that one. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys got to steal out of them. Yeah, I mean, as far as the Eagles, I feel like before I talked to you guys, to be honest, I was still feeling it was Milton Williams a little bit. Like you guys are making me feel a little bit better than him. So about him, I should say. So I'm gonna
want to trade. Want to trade? I got a few trades.
No, right there. you stay over there. Stay over there. But no. I like the picks. But Zach McPherson honestly didn't make much sense to me. I feel like that's a project and we need a quarterback. I feel like it was kind of a panic pick. More that I watch him, like I said, he has all the traits to become something great. I just don't think he's there right now. It might take him a year or two. Is he somebody that can really line up a side or on the opposite side of Slay? I don't really think so. I think that we took Milton Williams and saw so many cornerbacks just fall off the board once the third round went by. We kind of panicked and took the guy that we kind of had next up on our board. Was he the best player? Maybe not. I think that realistically, we kind of went away from our board on that pick. And then I think we kind of recouped ourselves and kind of got back to what we were trying to do. So I will say I like the player, Zach McPherson, but I do think it was kind of a reach pick, kind of a panic pick. But we'll see if he turns out. I mean, he can't be, just like you kind of said, it can't be much worse than what we had before.
Right.
Like I don't have to tell you guys, our secondary was like a 15th dairy. Like that's right. We should just change the number because it was just bad. It was terrible. So, so we say we say reaches, but there was also a lot of good picks. You say about Dynamite Brown, I can't say his name.
Dynamite Brown,
yeah. But so let's talk about some steals. I mean, even in the undrafted free agency, who are some guys, or maybe that one guy that's really standing out to you that you think can make some noise that maybe people aren't talking about so much?
Yeah, I'll start. I feel like, from our perspective as Cowboys fans, day 3 is when the clouds started to clear up and the sun came out, and it's when we were able to take Jabril Cox. I feel like Jabril Cox out of LSU was a dynamic linebacker. Now we can kind of piece. Granted, is he JOK? No, but he can bring those same type of traits that JOK provides to our defense. So I like the Jabril Cox. That was a huge steal. Also, the wide receiver out of Stanford is Simi Fioco. A big, tall, fast target. I kind of call him my fake Gucci belt Kyle Pitts. So, he's one of those guys, a dynamic receiver that we can actually bring in and stretch the field a little bit and possibly be our Michael Gallup insurance policy. And then an undrafted free agent, another guy I was high on is TJ Vasher out of Texas Tech. It's another big 6'6" target, 4.3 speed, can just jump and go get it, because where the Cowboys really struggles in the red zone. So I feel like if you have 2 6'5", 6'6" targets, that should help a little bit. So I feel like, those are some of the players that I got my eye on. And then also Quentin Bohanna, he's a defensive tackle out of Kentucky. He's, going to be our one tech that we've been wanting. I would have preferred Milton Williams, but if you kind of watch the tape on him, he's a run stuffer, he's a space eater guy, can take up 2 blocks. And so hopefully that'll create some balance for our linebackers to flow. So I felt like if you take this Cowboys draft and you swap day 2 and day 3, it makes it a lot more attractive and it makes a lot more sense than, if you just leave it as is. So day 3 was definitely much better than day 2.
Yeah, speaking of the Jabril Cox pick, I was a big fan of Jabril Cox. I did not understand how he kept falling. I think it came out after the fact that he there may have been some kind of injury concern or something like that. I don't remember. I thought I read that, but yeah, I was with you. I thought he was a 3rd round pick. I think you guys got great value there with him. As far as the Giants goes, we didn't draft as many players as you guys may have. We only had 6 picks, and we only signed 3 undrafted free agents because we already have a lot of guys under contract, so we don't have a lot of room to bring in UDFAs. One undrafted free agent that I actually like, especially when I've looked over his film, and I actually think he has a legitimate chance to make this team, is Raymond Johnson. He's a defensive end out of Georgia Southern. He's 6'3", 270, had 13.5 tackles for loss, 5 sacks. But when you watch him on film, he's pretty versatile. You can play him on because of his weight. He's 270. He's pretty big. You can play him on the inside, the outside. He's got a quick first step. So of all the undrafted free agents, we also brought in Brett, I think it's Heggie or Hedgie, the center out of Florida. We needed some interior offensive line help as well. But I really like the Raymond Johnson pickup. In terms of the draft, I mean, Ellerson Smith, a lot of people are talking about. I've seen a ton of people that were very high on him that we got in the 4th round. I think at best he's a situational pass rusher, though, because when you watch him, he's like built like a pencil. He struggles against the run. He gets pushed off the ball. Aaron Robinson is probably my favorite pick after the 2nd round. I'm a big fan of that guy when I got to watch him. I think he could be an elite slot corner one day in the NFL. I'm a big fan of that pick. I was glad that we jumped the Eagles to get him. So I'll go with Aaron Robinson.
Cool. And I teased you guys earlier in our podcast, but Dimey Brown, man, I'm really happy with him in the 3rd round. I don't know if you guys are keeping tabs on what's going on in Washington, but we had Curtis Samuel early in the early in the offseason. So we had Curtis Samuel. He runs a 4.3. Terry McLaurin runs a 4.3. We added Dimey Brown 4.4. Antonio Gibson 4.4. Our offense is finally fast. It's been a long time, guys. So we're actually explosive. And we actually have Ryan Fitzpatrick, who has no shame, so they'll throw the ball everywhere. It could be intercepted. We have no idea what the hell's going to happen with him, so it's actually pretty cool. So Dimey Brown, I think he can, at worst, he can be a deep threat for us. At UNC, he scored 21 touchdowns over his last 2 years. He's the only, I think he's the only Big 5 wide receiver to average 20 yards per catch his last 2 seasons as well. So he flips the field. And if he can actually do that consistently, let's say he hits his glass ceiling and becomes a wide receiver 2. If he's on the boundary with Terry McLaurin, you can have Curtis Samuel in a slot, which is his natural position, which is great. You can have him flexing in the backfield and run. Like, I don't know if you guys know, but Curtis Samuel actually wasn't primarily a running back in Ohio State before he became a wide receiver. So actually having him as a flex would definitely kind of change things. It kind of adds like multiplicity to our offense. So Dimey Brown would definitely be huge. Fitzpatrick aired out. I'm really excited about that. Shaka Toney really late. I don't know if you guys saw him. We got him in the 7th round. He was projected like a 3rd or 4th round. Not maybe a 3rd, 4th, 5th round pick. But he is a situational pass rusher. Like, his knock is that he's not well rounded. He's not a great run stopper, but that's not what we need in Washington. We actually have a couple of great D linemen. We have Chase Young and Montez Sweat. What we're losing is Ryan Kerrigan. Ryan Kerrigan's off the team now, so we need kind of a depth edge rusher. So we can kind of plug him in there and kind of a couple snaps a game, and 3rd and long, kind of give someone else a blow. I think he could potentially do pretty well. And then finally, undrafted free agent, it's a dart throw, but Jared Patterson, I don't know if you guys even know who he is.
He went undrafted. Wow.
He went undrafted, and we basically got him undrafted. I think he's 5'7", 200 pounds, little bowling ball. So we'll see what happens with that. Buffalo running back. He had a 2-game stretch of 400 yards and 8 touchdowns in college. So who knows what happens with that? So it's pretty cool. So
I'm surprised he went undrafted because he was pretty. Most people thought he'd be a 5th or 6th round pick. I'm surprised he went undrafted. That was a good pickup by you guys.
Yeah, and he fits our offense. I don't know, obviously you have Scott Turner from Carolina, so they have the whole Christian McCaffrey kind of perspective. That's why Gibson did pretty well for us, kind of like a flexible running back. So, we have J.D. McKissick who thrived, Antonio Gibson. Hopefully he can fit in there a little bit deeper down the list,
I think, honestly, I feel like the Eagles – I kind of feel like the Cowboys in a sense that I feel like we killed it on day 3. Like, day 3, we hit every draft. I don't want to say they're going to all be stars, but, in sense of taking the best player available and still, filling kind of needs, I think they did perfectly. You can look at the 2 defensive linemen we got. The guy Marlin, I'm not going to try to even say his last name from USC. And then we got the guy Taron Jackson, I want to say his last name is. We got Kenneth Gainwell, who I think is going to be a
Gainwell's a beast. That's a good
point. But if I had to go, after 2nd round, my favorite guy is probably Jacoby Stevens. Like, they're looking at him as like a linebacker. He's a safety in college, but they're looking at him as more of a linebacker. So that would be interesting. I think that it's a field project with somebody like Nate Gary, but we've seen it work with other players, and he has the body and the physicality, which is huge to me. Like, that boy is not afraid to hit. So he's probably my late round steal. But as far as the undrafted free agents, I'm gonna get a little controversial. With the first one, it's not that controversial. I love Trayvon Grimes. I think he can become a starter. Realistically, probably should have been drafted on early day 3, maybe even a little bit early, depending on who you ask. But I love him. But the other guy I like is Jamie Newman, the quarterback from Georgia. I want to say Georgia.
Wake Forest,
but either way,
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, there we go. Wait for it. Thank you. So I love the kid. Honestly, and it's not that I think he'll become a starter, but I think he'll at least give some type of push to Jalen Hurts. You know what I'm saying? And that's something I didn't think Joe Flacco would really necessarily bring to the Eagles. I thought he was just kind of a player that would be there. You know what I'm saying? So I think that having that quarterback that's going to push you a little bit, even if it's not, like I said, you're taking 1 reps, and everything. It's something it's a real challenge. I just didn't think Joe Flacco was a real challenge, a real, at practice going to push you type guy. Right. It just kind of was what it was. So I love that pick just on that sense, but I'm not mad at it. So let's go back real quick. I want to go back to our picks for the mock draft series. Now, we all were wrong. So, it is what it is. Literally every single pick. Yeah, every single pick outside of Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson. Those were the only 2 that were right, and those were easy. So we'll start with the Cowboys. Right, obviously, the Cowboys probably took we'll go back to me. So the Cowboys took probably the surprise of the draft. You were the topic of discussion every single draft after. They were like, wait, they took Kyle Pitts. Oh, so you took Kyle Pitts. I mean, this is your I told you so moment, because he went number 4. So right. Would you change your pick? How do you feel about your pick now? Just kind of give me that.
Oh, hell no. Because here's the thing. It wasn't just me. The mock let him fall to me. So I've been saying on Twitter, if you get a player that talent to fall to your hands at 10, you just have to take him and figure out everything else later. I mean, for what we really got, through Micah Parsons, I think he's going to be able to help. Kyle Pitts really propels this team forward, when I'm sure you guys would be thinking, okay, damn, the Cowboys just got Kyle Pitts, CeeDee Lamb, Mari Cooper. It's a lot. Versus Micah Parsons, I really doubt that any of y'all are honestly shaking in your boots right now. It's okay. So it really doesn't put anybody on notice versus us bringing in Kyle Pitts and adding him along with this offense, because as we kind of clearly see with this defense, we might have, out of 11 picks, have 1.5 starters. And so, nothing about this draft really says 2021 versus Kyle Pitts would have instantly said, all right, the Cowboys are coming to play for real in 2021. So, heck no, I'm not changing my pick, man. If I had a time stone from Infinity War, I'm doing it all over again. I'm taking Kyle Pitts, man. Those That's stupid funny. Falcons, man. Yeah.
Now we'll go to the Giants real quick. You had them projected to take Jalen Waddle. Now this is because Devontae Smith was taken at number 3. I'm not saying because, but little bit of backstory. Devontae Smith was taken at 3, so you didn't really have Jamar Chase or Devontae Smith to pick out of. But looking back, and this is a good time to ask you about the trade, But looking back, how would you feel about getting Jalen Waddle? Would you have changed your pick? How do you feel about that mock draft series?
Yeah, it was because like how Jay Tuck just said, it was kind of how the draft unraveled. I never thought that Waddle. I thought Smith was going to be there, and I didn't think Waddle would be. I think Waddle might even be the best wide receiver in this class. I'm a big fan of Waddle, so I would not have changed that pick at all. I would have taken Jay Waddle every time. A lot of people compare him to Tyreek Hill. I disagree with that assessment. I actually compare him to a former Giant. When I watch him play, I think Jalen Waddle's a lot like Odell Beckham. He's the type of guy that can take a 5-yard slant to the house every time. And yeah, I think he's going to be a dynamic playmaker. And in the back of my head, as much as I wanted an offensive lineman, I always thought the Giants were going to be leaning playmaker here in the first round. After free agency, my opinion changed a little bit when we got Galladay, but I kind of reverted back to my initial opinion with the wide receiver. So yeah, I would have taken Waddle had he been there, and I'm glad that we ended up taking Tony.
And I have to ask you, because you're not, I love what you're doing. Me and you have worked before, and I love your channel before I even started mine. So I know you're not the most crazy animated, going to go viral on Twitter for your reaction. So it's just what was your feeling about the whole, trade when it happened?
I'm being honest, and you go back and watch it when I was live. I within 30 seconds, I realized why it happened, because I said the Cowboys, they knew he was going to go to the Giants or the Eagles. So I wasn't mad at the Cowboys at all. Like some people were, but it was just It's just rational. Like, yeah, the Cowboys, he was going to the Giants or the Eagles. So the trade made sense. And I'm not trying to like poo-poo the pick. I would have been completely happy with DeVonta Smith going to the Giants, but I am not the biggest DeVonta Smith fan. I think he's going to be a good wide receiver, but I didn't flip out. I don't view this guy as like, an otherworldly wide receiver. So I know some Giants fans, they see the Heisman Trophy and they went crazy. At first I was like, all right, what are we going to do? Like, I was nervous because I was like, it was going to be DeVonta Smith. Everybody knew it was going to be DeVonta Smith. And then when he was off the board, I was antsy because I was like, all right, let's take Slater. Or, and then when they traded down, I got nervous, but then I saw the trade. I'm like, holy crap. Yeah, let's rock and roll. But yeah, I didn't flip out like some Giants fans did, but it might be because I'm not nearly as high on DeVonta Smith as some people.
Right, I agree. I think that as far as being division rivals, DeVonta Smith was the best case scenario for me because I was losing sleep when you guys were sitting at 6 for the Eagles, like the possibly getting Pitts or Chase or a Waddle. I'm like, oh, here we go. So that you guys kind of got Smith, I'm like, all right, I can breathe a little bit, but he's still a talented wide receiver.
Oh, he's definitely good.
Not compared to what could have been. So.
Yeah, no, that's true. Don't remind me. So, speaking of what could have been, we'll go down to the Washington Redskins. So you are Washington football team. Excuse me. You guys took Rashad Bateman, right? You had them taking Rashad Bateman, I believe, at first.
Yeah.
He was there. They didn't go with him.
So if you remember, you called me early in this whole draft process, and you called me like early, first day of free agency, right? And I was like, oh my goodness. And I told you that on the pod, I don't know if you remember this, we're getting Curtis Samuel tonight. And we got off the pod, and an hour later we had Curtis Samuel. So I was like, all right, cool. So that's exactly what happened. So it was like we had at that point, we only had we had Cam Sims. You guys don't even know who Cam Sims is. He's our wide receiver too, on the other side of Trey McLaurin, and we basically didn't have other options. So we needed a value wide receiver. I guess to answer the question, I'm very happy with the way things shaped out. Since I talked to you last week, got Curtis Samuel to add as right now he's kind of slated to be like the Z. Is the other wide receiver opposite of Terry McLaurin, wide receiver 2. We picked up Adam Humphries from Tennessee to Tampa Bay. He's had a whole career. He's a great slot receiver that matched up very well. He's played with Ryan Fitzpatrick before. In his career year, he had like 800 yards, like 8 touchdowns with Ryan Fitzpatrick in Tampa in 2018. So we actually have him as a slot. So our wide receivers are coming together. And then we got Diami Brown now, so we're actually in pretty good shape. But so considering all of that, now we got a linebacker, that's really going to solidify our team. So I think that's like the missing piece. Like in Washington, are missing, we have 2 nice corners. We have William Jackson III, was one of our big free agent acquisitions. We have Kendall Fuller's pretty solid. We have like a B and an A corner right now, right? Our defensive line's stout. Cameron Curl had a great standout year. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him in your circles, but he was a 7th round pick. He was like, all rookie team, strong safety. He's a pretty good player. And then all we need is that second level. We actually, if Jamin Davis actually hits and becomes like a Pro Bowl linebacker, we can build that architecture where it's like our defense is carrying us, right? And our offense isn't something to sneeze at. We have I think Chase Young, you're not laughing about it. You said you wanted Chase Young, you were going to steal him in a couple of years when he became a free agent. Chase Young is going to be an all-pro, man. He's legit, man. He really is. Right. So we're going to have that awesome D line, nice linebackers, pretty solid corner, and I think we're going to make do on offense. So I think our whole division, guys, I don't think we're it's going to be a slugfest, and no one's going to run away with the division this year. I'm excited about it. It's going to be awesome. So I think we're all toe-to-toe. No one should be looking down on each other in this division, in my opinion. I think we're all pretty there.
I think our teams are very similarly built. I think the Giants and Washington, I think both defenses could easily be in the top 5 this year, and you have question marks about the offense, but you have some upside there.
I agree with you. And I actually, to give you a compliment, I think the Giants, I see where the Giants are going with this. I noticed you guys had a 4-game win streak. The second half of the year, your defense was up and coming. Blake Martinez, James Bradbury. You guys are building something over there. And it's funny because in Washington circles, the Giants, they're trash. Dude, they're not trash. They're actually pretty solid. They're a pretty good team. So I can see the parallels between them.
And I think our offenses are similar. You bring up Curtis Samuel, one player that I think is the first name that came to my head when people were saying, what's your comparison for Kadarius Toney? I said Curtis Samuel. Mm-hmm. They're both used in the backfield as running backs. They're shifty players. So I think we have a pretty similar dynamic on offense as well. So I think we're whoever's the better quarterback is going to end up being the better team this year, in my opinion. Daniel Jones or Ryan Fitzpatrick.
It's funny, both of them are turnover prone too, which is hilarious. So we'll see how that goes.
Hey, Tuck, our teams ain't got nothing in common, bro. Our teams
yeah. We might trade with each other, but that's where it ends, man.
Yeah, man, had a whole session of getting on. I'm like, I still don't like Tuck. I mean, it is. But shout out to Jeremiah. Shout out to Jeremiah Butler on the $5 super chat. He said, "What's up, peeps?" I can't say your name. I'm not even gonna try. I'm sorry. I want to butcher it. Can you say it for me real quick, just so I can say it in the
Tina? Yeah, he's talking to me. He's talking to me, right? Tina.
Yeah. Right, so Tina, he says, I know you love the Hogs. What do you think about Dickerson? Dickerson
was a guy that a lot of Giants fans thought we were going to take. He grew up a Giants fan. He wanted to be a Giant. He was an interior offensive lineman. He is absolutely a first-round talent. 1,000% a first-round talent. I didn't want him, though. The only reason I didn't want him, and I was relieved when he was taken, I think the Eagles took him at 38, whatever it may have been. Mm-hmm. The reason I didn't want him is because of his injury history. The guy has 2 torn ACLs. But as a player, he's absolutely worthy of a first-round pick.
Yeah, once I got over I'm not still over it, but once I look past his injury history, he was a top 15 player in my opinion, if I'm being 100% honest. Shout out to Inferno Productions. He says something that doesn't make sense is the Giants fans really wanted Smith, but when he went to the Eagles, they say he was.
That's how it always is, man.
I don't think he'll fail. He's good. He's a good player.
Definitely. So all right, I think I got them all. So the last question I want to ask is, what do you think? How do I want to ask this? Do you think your team won this draft out of the NFC East? And why do you think you won it? And why do you not think you won it? And then, from there, we'll make a decision, I guess, who we think had the best draft. But I guess we'll start with you, J-Tuck.
I think we won the mock draft when we did it. Does that count? Man, I get some points for that? Nah, man. Like I said, Cowboys Nation, I apologize, man. But we're going to keep it real. I can't come on here and lie we killed the draft. Be honest with you guys, I got this draft at a C- for us. And I'm trying to force myself into a higher grade. The more I watch, I'm just because I feel like with the draft capital the Cowboys had, we could have been a lot more aggressive and really went and got the players that we really wanted. I mean, there's no way Jerry can lie on camera and say Parsons was our number one guy. And then Stephen Jones backdoored and said, we were high on the corners, but once they got taken so that's kind of what really happened. But I felt like with the draft capital the Cowboys had, they could have possibly moved up in the first round and sure they would get their corner. And also in the second round, there were so many reaches where I don't see a clear-cut day one guy besides Joseph. He's going to have to be ready at the outside corner position. So none of this draft says 2021, next year we're ready to go. It filled the void. It gave us a lot of role players, but for the most part, I was looking for instant impact, man. So overall, I got a C-. And so if you guys want to put all your teams ahead of us in this draft, I got to sit back and take it. But the one good thing is, I got my quarterback. So sorry.
That's true, man.
No, you definitely have the best quarterback. No denying that. I mean, what was the second question? The first question was, what did you think of the draft? What was the second question? What didn't I like? Or
no, do you think you won the draft, or do you think that your team does not deserve to win? Just the NFC East, though.
Okay, yeah. I'm gonna be honest. Yes, I think we won the draft. I think the Giants had one of the top 4 or 5 drafts. When you factor in the draft capital we got for 2022, which you need to factor in, we traded down. You could have taken a better player at 11 than 20. So you have to factor in the draft capital we picked up. When you factor in, we got an additional first next year, which could easily be a top 10 pick, especially if Chicago's going to be starting a rookie quarterback. You don't know what they're going to be. They're playing a brutal schedule. So we get a first-round pick from Chicago. We get a third-round pick and a fourth-round pick on top of the picks we already had last year. And then we fill some needs. I think Kadarius Toney's a really nice wide receiver we add. I thought that Azeez Ojulari had no business going at 50 overall. So, yeah, and then after that, we took BPA, and you hope some of those guys work. But with the limited picks we had, only 6 picks, for us to come out of this draft with a future first, a future third, a future fourth, and 2 guys that will undeniably be instant impact players for the New York Giants, I think we had an A draft. I love what the New York Giants did.
All right, that's a good sell. I'm going to make my case right here, too. So for Washington, man, we walked away with 10 different draft picks. And basically our concerns, walking into the draft, we needed to get a linebacker, we needed to get a left tackle, we needed to get a backup tight end, and we needed to get a free safety. We didn't even have a long snapper. I'm going to throw that in the mix. You're just going to draft a long snapper. I don't know if you guys know, right? So basically walking away, You walk away with Jamin Davis, right? 4'3", 4'3", 6'3", 250-pound linebacker coming into JDR's, Ron Rivera's defense. He's going to start. So we got a starting linebacker out of the day. That's one starter, first round, right? Second round, Samuel Cosby. He is rated number 5 on the left tackle big board. He should be walking into our left tackle position and becoming our starting left tackle. What Washington did great, and I don't know, we didn't really talk about free agency in this group, but basically we actually created a nice little thin layer across our roster. Like walking into the draft, we didn't have any glaring red flag holes. All we had to do was refortify our team. So we basically, we picked up Eric Flowers. He's on our team a couple of years ago. He's pretty solid.
Can't stand that guy.
Yeah, you hate that guy. We actually pretty.
Well, for you guys, he was pretty good.
He was pretty good for us. He got started as a tackle. We put him at a guard, so it worked for us. And then Sadiq Charles, we actually got him from LSU a couple of years ago. He was like a round 1, round 2 left tackle as well. So between Eric Flowers, Sadiq Charles, we have Morgan Moses. Now we got Samuel Cosby. Our offensive line is pretty solid there. So 2 starters in our first 2 picks. BSJ, St. Juice, I have no idea. That's our reach pick. We'll see what happens if he hits. More power to it. Diamond Brown, I think, is going to start, be more of a big play receiver. It's going to make our offense more dynamic. We added John Bates as a backup tight end for Logan Thomas. And then we got Cameron the Cheese Man, our long snapper, to basically jump on in there for 10, 15 years. So walking away, honestly, if you want to be real, we got 4 starters in this draft out of 10 picks, a couple other upside picks there. And you can't really hate on that. Like if you have a 50% ratio in your draft, that's awesome. So I hope we have 4 out of 10. I think we do. And I mean, that's a B+, A draft right there. So I'm pretty happy with it. I wish we had the capital you guys did, but walking away, I think we are building a foundation moving forward, which I'm happy with in Washington.
Must be nice.
I gotta give you a shout out, Tuck. I gotta give you some love, bro, because you came on this show knowing you were about to just
honestly, I was going to take this week off, and then you hit me up. I was like, all right, I'm coming from my guy Joe, man. But I'm still I still don't understand what the hell I just witnessed this past weekend, man, because it was all there. It was all there. And for the Cowboys to walk out with 1.5 star compared to, here in the Washington team now has 4, and you got, we didn't fill a void because one thing the Cowboys didn't do, we weren't aggressive in free agency. So we went into the draft with a lot of voids, the free safety position, the outside corner position, the interior defensive lineman position. You can also consider linebacker, and we kind of missed the mark, and we just got depth guys. And then, personally, to hear Stephen Jones talk about the draft from a cap perspective, about these guys are going to help us with the cap in the future, I'm just like, yeah, I mean, that wasn't doing nothing. So the only thing we really have to hold our head on is that the offense is going to come back healthy, and we can get back to what we saw glimpses of last year, and that Dan Quinn can just salvage his defense just a little bit. But I really thought that they were going to be aggressive in the draft and propel this defense forward and get you 3 to 4 core guys where okay, we got our Trayvon Moore, we got our outside corner and Patrick Surtain, we got a Milton Williams. Now I can breathe a little bit. That sounds a lot better versus we got Micah Parsons and Nims, what I've been calling Micah Parsons and
Nims. Honestly, that's kind of how, not so extreme. That's how I feel about the Eagles, but kind of that's where I'm at with the Eagles, because it's like the first 2 picks were, the first pick was amazing, obviously. The trade, if you want to factor in assets for next year, we basically turned the number 6 pick into a first-round pick next year, right, and Devontae Smith. Right. I'm not mad at that.
And I also want to say, you didn't give up much at all to do that.
At all.
Because you look at what the Giants did. The Giants dropped from 42 to 50. We got the same draft compensation that you did from the Cowboys to jump from 12 to 10. Right. So 12 to 10 is a much bigger jump than 50 to 42. So you guys didn't give up that much to go up and get your wide receiver. So that was a good trade for you guys.
Right. Yeah, I was very happy with that. So, and you factor in that. So the first day was a win. I think that was some of Howie's best work, if I'm being honest. But then you go into day 2. Landon Dickerson pick makes sense on the bigger screen of it, the bigger scheme of it. The big picture, it makes sense. It's a worrying pick when you go through the Sidney Jones era. When you've been through that, you've seen it not work out, and this is kind of worse than what Sidney Jones, was going through in that year. So this is, it's a little bit nerve-wracking, but I can be sold on it. The 3rd round pick gets a little bit shaky because no matter how great he better be great, but if he no matter how good he is, if our cornerbacks are terrible again, that is going to be the point of contention, that there was cornerbacks on the board. If none of these linebackers work out, that's going to be a point of contention. You could have took Jeremiah Owusu. You could have took, whoever it may be. You could have took someone. So there's a lot of question marks, and I don't feel the Giants nor the Washington football team have as many question marks as the Eagles or the Giants do coming out of this draft. So for that reason, and for that reason only, I do probably have to bow out of saying we win the NFC draft wise. If I had to put my vote in, and this is with no, and maybe it's because of what you said, because you guys came in so ready already, or not ready already, that makes no sense, but you guys came in already prepared, for this draft. You didn't necessarily need to add any one thing. Like you said, I would probably go Washington. They couldn't get their quarterback, so they built everything else. And I respect that. I do have the Giants very close second, just because, like you said, you guys built assets, you built for next year. So look, I think we all did decent, even in the Cowboys situation, you guys, the one thing that scared me about the Cowboys is going defense, because that was your glaring weakness. And, we'll see if they pan out, but you did do that. So that is something. And, with the Eagles, I might not love every pick, but we went with our board. And that's something we've been yelling at Howie to do for months on end, years on end. So, it is what it is. I like the draft. I'm not mad at it. But right now, I'd probably give it to Washington. But, I mean, it's between you guys to fight it out if you guys want to.
And I feel like Washington did exactly what you're not supposed to do, is like go to the grocery store hungry. That's what the Cowboys did. We went to the grocery store hungry. We just bought a whole bunch of stuff like chips and dip, and like you really didn't get any core food. Versus Washington, they know what they needed. They had their list. They went and got what they needed, and they dipped out. And the same thing I could say with the Giants for getting a first round pick for next year, and the same with Philadelphia. And so it's like, at least you guys came out with something for next year as well. Versus the Cowboys, we kind of just came out with chips and fun dip, man, and it's hopefully.
I was telling Joe last time, we're actually kind of like becoming a stable program after a while, man. Like we're a clown show, and our old GM Bruce Allen, like he would just kind of pick the fancy flashy names for like PR. Now we actually have like we went from no GMs to 3 GMs. I don't know if you guys even know that at all. We have Marty Herney, who used to be the Carolina Panthers GM. He's like an advisor in our front office. We got Martin Mayhew, who was he was on the Lions and in the 49ers. He basically was a GM there. And then we got Chris Polian, who's Bill Polian's son. He actually walked into our program too. So we actually have 3 people in our brain trust. And like the way our structure goes in DC is they all give input to Ron Rivera. We have like a coach-centric like team. He's like the Pete Carroll and the whole like Andy Reid, the way they kind of run there, and Bill Belichick and the Patriots. That's how we run it over here in DC. And for the very first time in a long time, our GM and our coach are in lockstep, because Ron Rivera hired the GMs. So it's like, he's like, I need a linebacker, I need a left tackle. We got to go grocery shopping, as Tuck mentioned, and we did that. So I'm kind of happy. Like, I think we might not like hit home runs on our draft, but we basically created a nice stable floor. Like, we're a high floor team going into next year, which I'm pretty happy with.
Right.
Yeah, and kind of like what you said for free agency, I felt the same way with the Giants going in. Yeah, were there a couple needs that I felt like we had more so than others? Yeah, but I felt like our 2 primary needs when the offseason started were wide receiver and cornerback. We got Adoree Jackson, we got Kenny Golladay. So I thought that the Giants filled in the holes as best they could to kind of give themselves the ability, kind of like you said with Washington, to just take the best player on your board and fill as many holes as you can.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting season. I'm excited to see it. And I'm not going to lie, when I first got in the group and I saw all 4 squares, I was like, damn, I felt like a football game's about to happen. We about to get it. Feels good, right? Feels good. For the season, man. I cannot wait till the season. We're definitely going to be working again. Guys, I appreciate your time so much. We still have 50 people in here. You guys see the Twitter names to the left or right of them, respectively. Definitely go give them a follow. Definitely go check them out. All their links are going to be in the description. Even though they're, team rivals, it's whatever. You got to go support the family, man. But like I said,
a few months and I'll be like, I told you about Nashar, right? He was.
It's all on tape now. We got it all on tape. But either way, I appreciate you guys coming on here, man. And y'all got anything y'all want to say before we close this out?
I just appreciate talking to y'all, man. You guys, I learned a lot. I think we should definitely do this more often. It's fun hearing from different fans and hearing like the real perspectives. I know you guys do the work, so it's nice to hear from you guys. So thank you for everything, guys. Appreciate it.
Definitely, man. Definitely.
And likewise. I mean, I appreciate all your guys' content, man, and the work, man. And I think that, the days of being called the NFC least is no longer. I think that you're going to have to pay every team in the division, serious attention now. I mean, even, Philly has their ups and downs with the quarterback, but, you give Jalen Hurts a weapon and Devontae Smith, he's going to be good enough to kind of salvage and keep things afloat. So, kind of being the butt of everyone's jokes, I think that's no longer. Cowboys will get healthy. The Giants have gotten stronger. Washington's gotten stronger with the defensive front. I think a lot of teams will take it a lot more serious this season, which I'm looking forward to. And we'll see you guys when the season starts. So.
I love how you didn't say anything about the Eagles at all.
I
did. Washington.
I did. So you guys got Jalen Hurts and Devontae.
No, he did. He did.
Wow, I'm taking it back, man. I appreciate you guys for having me on.
Yeah, same thing, man. I had a blast coming on to getting to know your guys' teams a little bit better, how you felt about your drafts. And I'm with what Jay Tuck just said, though, and I've said it countless times over the last couple of weeks. This division ain't going to be a joke this year. There's going to be 2 teams to go to the playoffs out of this division. I really believe that. And we'll see. It's going to come down to which perceive. I'm not trying to knock the Eagles. I think the Eagles are kind of in a rebuild phase. I think the 3 teams that have the shot at the playoffs are the Cowboys, Washington, and the Giants. And I think it's going to come down to which perceived weakness ends up being stronger. Like the Cowboys, if their defense takes a huge step up, they'll make the playoffs. If the Giants or Washington's offense our league average, they'll probably end up making the playoffs. But I think it's going to be a really competitive division. I don't think there's any easy wins in this division when we go up against each other. And I think it's going to be a much more fun season this year for our division.
Right.
Facts. I hope you guys heard that, Philly Nation. Get your dog mask ready.
And watch Philly take the whole division, man. Watch Philly.
Exactly.
You never know, man. You never
That's
know.
how chaotic things are in our division, man. You just never know. And so it's like expect the unexpected. So
definitely. But thank you to everybody that, tuned in. Be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe. Go check out their respective channels. And I do have a link to full press coverage for my guy, George Carmi. So definitely go check out everybody and show mad love. But this is what I love to say when I have NFC East foes. It is Fly Eagles Fly. We are out here. Peace.
Peace, guys.